Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our basically grade 8 English lesson on frequently confused words. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. We're doing grade 8 advanced writing. All right. And then once we've done that, then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter under grade 8 of frequently confused words. Frequently confused words. All right. And we say that our chapter is frequently confused words. Our subject is English Language Arts. We're doing basically grade 8 advanced writing. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of frequently confused words, it is to use the correct frequently confused words. Right? All right. So now we are doing frequently confused words, right? And we're going to find out what it means when we talk about frequently confused words. And when we even listen to the word or hear the word frequently confused words, then it basically sounds as if it's something that is a word that one constantly use that that confuses either someone or that confuses you, right? Or words that confuses someone or something. All right. So certain words, right? are often confused with another word. So you can have certain words, right? And these words can be confused with another word. And we call that frequently confused words, right? So, for example, in our writing, then you need to pay attention or need to pay close attention to these specific words that can often be used as to confuse one another, right? And you need to make sure that you use these specific words correctly. All right. And if we look at a few examples, right, of frequently confused words or of certain words that may often confuse or often be confused with another word, right? Let's say, for example, words like fewer and words like less. So if you look at the words fewer and less, right, they of course have similar meanings, right? Just something to do with you don't have much. So it's fewer and less. These two words can often be confused with one another because they have similar meanings. But you should use them differently. So as much as they have similar meanings, but you need to use them differently, right? And you need to know in which context to specifically use these words or these two words. And for example, right, we can use fewer to describe things that you can count. So things that you can count, we use the word fewer. Like pencils, we can count. Like pens, we can count. Discs, colors, crayons, right? These are things that we can count. So which means that we would say that there are fewer pencils, right? Fewer pens, fewer people, because people we can count, right? And then if we look at the other word, which is less or lesser. So less. And then we use less to describe things that you can't count, you cannot count, like water, right? There's less water coming from the tap, or there's less water now in the bottle after you drank it. But there are fewer people, fewer pencils, fewer pens, fewer discs, fewer things that we can count. And yet, even says fewer people than expected came to watch the race. And that is why I'm saying, even people you can count. So, even people, we will say there are fewer people because remember, they said anything that you can count, right? Then we use the word fewer. Something that you cannot count, and then we use the word less. All right. The next one says our town received less snow this winter due to the heat wave. So our town received less snow this winter due to the heat wave. Remember, less. We cannot count. I'm sorry, snow we cannot count. So snow we cannot count, water we cannot count, rain we cannot count. So we will use the word less, right? But things that we can count, we use the word few. We use the word few for if we want to count people, pins, bowls, desks, chairs, right? But we use the word less if we're talking about snow or rain or hail, right? Things that we cannot count, or even water. You cannot count water. Then, if we look at another word, right, words that are often confused with one another, then we have the word affect and effect. So the word affect and the word effect. And if we look at that two words, affect, and we look at the word effect, right? Affect and effect, they have similar spellings, right? We just basically have the first the first letter of those words, right, has got basically has the different spelling, right? Or shows or brings about the different spelling. But affect and effect have similar spellings and can sound even the same, right? But they have different meanings. For example, if we use the word affect, something that affects you, something that directly affects you, like maybe the crime, bullying, it is things that personally affects you. So affect is usually a verb, it's an action that means to change or influence, right? And then we have the word effect. And effect is usually a noun, right? So effect is usually a noun that means an outcome or result. The effect of the march that we had against bullying was this, that, and the other, right? It is the results or the outcome of something. And if we look at an example, right, of how we can use the word affect and effect within a sentence, it says, our team was losing, but I tried not to let that affect my performance. So our team was losing, but I tried to not let that affect my performance. Because there's a lot of things that can affect you as a person, right? Even home circumstances, especially if you are, like you are now at the age where anything that you see that is not okay can affect you at home. maybe a loss of a family member. That is also things that can affect you. And when it affects you, and then it means that it affects your performance at maybe in your schoolwork, your confidence level, your emotional level, right? That is how something can be affected. And then we have another word that says the new medicine has an amazing effect on cold symptoms, meaning that we have tried out this specific medicine and the results of people taking this medicine or kids taking this medicine, right, is amazing. Because remember, we said that effects, it means either the outcome or it means the result of something. All right. So if we look at these words, fewer and less, and we look at the word affect and effect, right? These are words that are frequently confused words, meaning that people usually use those words in the wrong sentences, in the wrong context, because you think that the word means the other word. All right. So once again, before we go to aplusstudents.ca, we can say that certain words, it is often confused with one another. And when you write, you're going to have to pay close attention to these specific words and make sure that you don't use them within your sentences. You may need to make sure that you don't use them in an incorrect way. It needs to be used in a correct way. And we made an example of fewer and less. And we see that fewer and less, they have similar meanings, right? And usually with fewer or less, because they have similar meanings, right? Most people think that we can just use these fewer water. We can say with there's less people, right? That is words that we can maybe use. But in actual fact, when it comes to fewer and less, even though they have similar meaning, you need to use them differently. And we said that we use fewer to describe things that you can count, whether it is people and things, right? So whenever we want to either count things or objects, we use the word fewer. Even if we are counting people, because people are something that we can count, right? So people, we count tables, we count laptops, chairs, pens, erasers, tablets. These are things we can count. And then we use the word less, right? And we use the word less to describe things that you cannot count, like water and snow and rain and hail, right? Those are things that you cannot count. So we use the word less. There was less rain this winter. There was less snow due to the heat wave. There was less water due to the drought or something. Water is also something that you cannot count, so we use the word less. All right, and then we also made an example of affect and effect, right? And we said even though effect and affect sounds the same, right? The spellings are similar and they even sound similar, but affect and effect, right? They have different meanings. Yes, they kind of sound the same. Their spelling is not the same, but the similar spelling, but they have different meaning. Because affect is a verb that means to change or to influence. And effect, it is a noun, which means the outcome of result, the effect of something. Let's say, for example, you guys have a bullying rally at school, right? Or something rally at school. So now, after that rally, after you guys made posters, after you protested outside, right, in the school building or the union building or something, now we need to see what the results are going to be after that. That is what we mean by effect, the effect of the march. All right, so now we're going to a+students.ca and we're going to look at more words, we're going to look at more examples that are often confused with one another, right? And remember, you need to pay close attention to these words and you need to make sure that you use them correctly within the sentences. You don't want to confuse a certain word by using it wrongly within a sentence, right? All right, so now we're here by A plus students.ca, and our lesson is to use the correct frequently confused word. All right, we are now going to complete the text with the correct word, right? It says, according to the United States Constitution, the president cannot, do we say cannot accept? So do we say that the president cannot accept, or do we say the president cannot? Oh, yeah, we go. I'm looking for another word that is the same as that word. Yes. Okay. So we need to choose between these two words, accept or accept. Oopsie. It says, according to the United States Constitution, the president cannot, do we say accept, or do we say accept a personal gift from a leader of another country without the approval of Congress? And if we were to choose the correct word, right, then we say, according to the United States Constitution, the president cannot accept to receive a personal gift from a leader of another country without the approval of Congress. So we use the word accept because accept is like you are accepting, it's like you're receiving gifts, right? And if we look at the two words, the differences between accept and accept is a verb, right, that means to receive willingly, whereas accept, right, is a preposition. It means you are not included. It's like saying, um, Jack and Ben is going to play with the skateboards, except so you're excluding somebody else, right? But accept is receiving something willingly. All right, it says at sorry at 4,400 words, the United States Constitution is shorter. Do we say shorter than, or do we say shorter than the written Constitution? and any other major country in the world. So we need to choose between one of these words, than or then. And if you look at these two words, it kind of sounds the same, and the spelling is similar, but the meanings are differently not the same. So at 4,400 words, the United States Constitution is shorter. Do we say than or do we say then the written constitution of any other major country in the world? All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, we would say at 4,400 words, the United States Constitution is shorter than the written constitution of any other major country in the world. So we use the word then with an A, not then with an E. And if we look at the difference between those two words, right? Then is when you're making a comparison, sorry, and we use then when you're describing a particular time and when something has happened. So that is why we use the word then, because we are comparing the Constitution to something else. All right. I spoke with Sadie about watering our plants while we are out of town, so you don't need to call her. So you can say I already. Do we say already? Or do we say I already? You see, just look at these two words. We need to choose the correct one. I already or I already. Spoke with Sadie about watering our plants while we are out of town. So you don't need to call her. And if we were to choose the correct word, right, then we're going to say that I spoke to Sadie already about watering the plants. And if we look at the difference between those two words, already, which is a already, is an adverb that means before this time, and the word already Like the two words is two words, it means completely prepaid. I am all ready for this day. That is what it means. All right, so now we're going to do our test where we are going to use the correct frequently confused word. We're going to be using the proper word. All right, so we said complete the text with the correct word. It says Kate made a wire sculpture of a tree for an art project. She used steel wool to make, do we say its option one, leaves, or option two, its leaves? We need to choose the correct option. So, do we say option one, its, or do we say option two, its? And if we were to choose the correct option, we would say Kate made a wire sculpture of a tree for her art project. She used steel wool to make its leaves. So we're choosing its as in option one. All right. The next one says, after Mary, is it Maury or Mary? After Mary and Brooke pitched, do we say they, option one, their, option two, or they, option three? Business plan to the investors, they received enthusiastic praise and support. We need to give the correct or choose the correct word. Is either option one, they, option two, their, or option two, their? We need to choose the correct option within that sentence. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, we can then say after Mary and Brooke pitched their fair to people, business plan to the investors, they received enthusiastic praise and support. Sorry. The next one says a bowling alley was built in the White House in 1947 for President Harry Truman's birthday. Though he did not bowl himself, do we say he allowed option one or he allowed option two, his staff, to start a bowling league? So option one, he allowed, or option two, he allowed his staff to start a bowling league. All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, we would say he allowed his staff to start a bowling league. So allowed is correct. That is option two, allowed, right? It's like you're allowing something. It's like you can do it. It's fine. That is what it means. All right, the next one says extra extremophiles is the extremophiles are organisms that can survive in environments that are, do we say option one, two, option two, two, or option three, two, extreme for other organisms? Thermophiles, for instance, are extremophiles that thrive in extreme heat. So do we say which two do we use? Option one, option two, or option three? All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, we'll say that extremophiles are organisms that can survive in environments that are too extreme for other organisms. So, two, which is option two. So, option two is the correct word. Okay, let's look at the last one. It says at 4,400 words. So, at 4,400 words. All right, so we say at 4,400 words, the United States Constitution is shorter. Do we say option one, than, or option two, then the written constitution of any other major country in the world? So do we say then, or do we say then? So then or then, which is the correct answer? All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, we can say than. So at 4,400 words, the United States Constitution is shorter than, because it shows comparison, the written constitution of any other major country in the world. All right, well done. So we spoke about frequently confused words. You are gonna have to try and remember the differences between certain words, because once you write, remember you're gonna have to use the correct word within the sentences, right? Because you get words that are either similar in meaning, they're either words with similar like in spelling or in sound, right? However, each word has their own specific meaning, and you're going to have to know in which context you are using it. All right, so this is the end of a lesson on frequently confused words. Thank you very much for joining the class, and I really hope you're going to have a good rest of your day. So, till next time, goodbye.